Something major right now is unfolding, from extreme thunderstorms to models hinting at the possibility of an intense bomb cyclone affecting the Northeast next week. How serious is this? Who will be impacted? This is weather per usual. Let's break it down. As we close out a very active day, let's take a look at what remains. The main convective line has continued to move eastward, and overall, the severe threat is gradually decreasing. However, there are still a few discrete cells to watch, especially south of Columbus near Elizabethtown. That could produce a tornado, 1-inch hail, and damaging to potentially extreme wind gusts. The good news is that conditions are starting to settle down after a very active afternoon. But if you're in the path of these remaining storms, stay weather aware until they move through. As we can see on the HRRR simulated infrared model run, this storm system continues to move quickly eastward, with the strongest activity progressing out of the area over the next several hours. You can also see the cloud tops racing along, which is another sign of strong winds aloft and why these storms have been able to organize so efficiently. As this line pushes farther east, conditions will continue to gradually improve, with cooler and drier air filtering in later tonight. So while a few storms may remain strong in the short term, the overall trend is toward quieter weather as we move through the overnight hours. Take a look back at today's tornado warnings. There were a total of 32 warnings issued throughout the day. That just gives you a sense of how active this setup was from start to finish. One of the more notable tornadoes occurred east of St. Louis and tracked through parts of Crawford County, Illinois, where it produced significant impacts as it moved through the area. Fortunately, there has been no reported deaths from any tornadoes today. Overall, it was a very active and dynamic severe weather day across the region. Now, looking ahead to the beginning of next week, we can see another storm system beginning to develop across the southern United States and lifting northward. As we talked about in yesterday's video, the GFS model has been fairly consistent in tracking this system farther west. That's important because a western track would increase the amount of snowfall along parts of the eastern seaboard. That said, there is still uncertainty with the setup, and other models continue to keep the storm a little bit farther offshore. With small changes in the track will make a big difference in who sees the heaviest snow versus rain or mixed precipitation, so this is something that we're going to continue to monitor closely over the next several model runs. Now, as we look at the European model, we see the storm is forming in roughly the same location and at about the same time. However, in this solution, the system is weaker and doesn't get pulled northward into the main trough as aggressively. Instead, it stays farther offshore, which would limit the impacts along the coast and keep the heaviest precipitation east of the region. This difference in how models handled this interaction with the upper level trough is the main reason we're still seeing the uncertainty in this forecast. If the GFS is picking up on something here, it's suggesting that parts of Virginia, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland could potentially see anywhere from 20 to 30 inches of snow. To put that into perspective, snowfall totals in that range would be considered historic for much of the mid-Atlantic, rivaling some of the biggest winter storms that these areas have ever seen. So to wrap things up, we're continuing to watch the last of today's storms move east, with conditions gradually improving behind them. Looking ahead to early next week, another storm system could bring significant impacts to parts of the East Coast. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the track and intensity between the models. As always, I'll continue monitoring trends closely and provide updates as new data comes in. So everyone, be weather aware, never be scared, but always be prepared. Thank you for learning weather with me. Feel free to like and subscribe for future severe weather updates. This is Weather Per Usual. Stay safe.